Welcome to day 136 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of September 2005, which was Flightplan.
After seeing the first parts of it, I think I have actually seen part of this movie before with my mom.
I did not expect it to go the direction that it went,
Well, here, should we spoiler warning this?
probably.
Yeah. Okay, so this movie at some point actually maybe from the beginning. From the beginning, it relies a lot on like unexpected things happening. I don't want to call them plot twists because I don't really think they were plot twists. They were just kind of unexpected things that happened.
Mm.
So I guess we'll give a very brief synopsis and be like, I guess give our recommendation or not, and then we proceed.
Yeah, it's really hard to talk about without talking about the plot twist, basically.
Yeah,
so.
the spoilers, yeah.
Okay, so basically, this woman gets widowed, and then she and her daughter are heading back to America. That's where we start.
On a plane.
Yeah.
And
On a
like
plane.
95% of the movie is just on the plane.
Yeah. And it's flying from Berlin to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess say like really. I don't even know what to say for like rough overall impressions first. I'm like so split on so many things.
Yeah, I don't want to say like what even the inciting incident is because I feel like that's kind of important.
Yeah.
So we're gonna leave it there. If that sounds interesting, go ahead.
It's not terrible.
No.
Yeah.
None of us think it's terrible. I don't think anyone thinks it's amazing either, right?
It's
No.
Not amazing.
But... there are parts that are good, there are parts that are not like great, so
yeah.
It's definitely a unique take on how this could have been.
Yeah, I guess if you want to see a movie that takes place on a plane, here you go.
I don't know if that's a good.
Yeah.
It's a surprise movie. There we go.
It's
Just
kind of as a concept of like, you know, a movie where the whole point is to try to figure out what's going on, and it is like all on a plane. It's kind of a neat idea, and it's not done horribly. So if the idea is kind of interesting to you, then sure. It's not very long, so it's even if you don't like it, you know, it's not like you're gonna be stuck there for 3 hours.
It's an hour and a half.
So it's
pretty short.
Yeah. Is there anything else to say about it? Or we really can get into anything? I don't know.
I don't think there's anything we can say without...
Wait. There is... Canada is briefly shown.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Not a place we've been to yet in the 300 Movie Challenge, actually.
That's so sad.
Really? We haven't?
I don't think there was a place that involved Canada, was there?
I don't know.
Not to my knowledge at the moment.
We've seen New York and Chicago and LA and San Fran.
What was the scene in X-Men where like Wolverine and what's her name were driving in like the snow? Wasn't that Canada?
I'm not sure if that was Canada or just like
I don't know why I'm thinking that is Canada for some reason.
Might have been. Well, in any case,
whatever.
This is the first or the second time we've been in Canada, so I think that's worth calling out.
Okay.
Canadian love.
Yes. Our nice neighbors.
Canada,
yeah.
Yes. So...
really think of...
Yeah.
Spoiler section begins here.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. It's kind of split into... Well, okay, they're split... Well...
3 parts?
Yeah, but there's 3 parts and there's 2 twists, basically.
Yeah.
Right,
the first twist is the idea that, the whole thing about, like, her daughter was, like, actually already dead and is not on the plane.
Yeah.
I called that almost immediately. That's what I was talking about when we were watching it. I said I
Oh,
think I
you
know where this
thought
is
she
going
was
to happen.
actually dead.
Yeah, because like right when she said, "Have you seen my daughter?" and the person's like, "I didn't see," and she kind of like looked at her weird or something. I was like, "Oh, I are they gonna pull the thing where like she's delusional and her daughter's dead?" So I thought that was the way they were going with this. So when they like revealed that like, well, they quote unquote revealed that that was true, and it was only like halfway to the movie, I was like, "This seems kind of early
Yeah,
to do
because
this."
usually it would be near the endish at
Yeah.
least.
So then when
Yeah.
they did the second reveal of, oh, she actually isn't alive, so like that I wasn't expecting coming, but maybe I should have, considering again there was a lot more time. I don't know, but so I didn't. So that was kind of interesting. Like they kind of double faked you out there.
Yeah.
But
They did it pretty decently well.
Yeah.
I still think though that they. I still think they did that first reveal too early.
They probably
I
did,
think they
yeah.
should have stretched it out a bit more, where like you really were like, oh my god, what happened to this kid and what could be the issue? Because again, even before they quote unquote reveal it, they still like throw that idea around
Mm.
earlier, quite early on, and it's like that seems like kind of a weird thing to just throw around. Like, why would someone like jump to, oh, the kid doesn't exist like pretty early on? So if they spent like at least half of them at bare minimum, like also just if they spent like an hour where like you legitimately thought that like her kid went missing and you know what happened to her or whatever and all that kind of stuff, I think then it would have been a bit more powerful with that first reveal.
I think the reason they probably did it when they did is because they needed to insert time for when she hijacked, well, not hijacked, where she did the thing with the
Yeah.
control panel and everything.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And again, they also, well, they needed room for the second reveal, right? So
Yeah.
I get that. I'm just thinking it was too early.
I can see that.
And again,
yeah.
they would have to switch the plot around a bit, and I'm not exactly sure how they would do it, but that was one issue. And then the second reveal,
I felt like that was a bit weird.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, here's how I think they should have done it. Is that you think she's legitimately crazy, and they're like sitting her down, and she tries to disrupt the plane, and you know she's you know clipped up or whatever, handcuffed to the thing, and all that kind of stuff, and then the plane lands, and then she walks up, and they're like, "All right, the people are leaving, and the crew is leaving," and then as she walks up, it's like, "All right, cool. Now that everyone's leaving, now we can search everything," and then the pilot guy turns around and is like, you know, drop the facade. We're giving into your terms, and that's the first you hear about it.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
you
Because
mean
again, they just
don't-
kind of have the whatever the dude is, the guy.
Oh
who's
yeah,
actually
because we switched
Oh.
perspectives.
yeah, you
for a
actually
moment.
you see him like go get the thing and talk to the woman or whatever, and then talk to the guy
So you
about
mean,
this
like,
the fake
cut
plan.
out that whole
Yeah,
scene.
just cut
and
all
then
of that
just-
out.
Right.
Yeah, I think that would have actually.
Because then
done
it would have
better.
been like, wait, what? Like when he says that, you're just so confused, and like you're in,
Right.
and then it keeps the focus from her perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden it's like, wait, what the fuck? And then it's like, then you could maybe piece things together about what's going on. Again, you might have to add like a little bit of something with him.
Yeah, probably like
right
a
after
small
that.
flashback kind of thing.
Or something like right after that, just to kind of, because also his kind of whole motivation and somehow how he like killed her husband somehow, but also arranged with the coffin, and it's like it seems like too complicated for that to have worked, kind of.
That whole thing definitely lost me. I was like, what?
It's like
Yeah.
it's like, how did you manage to figure this out? Because you're
How
just
did you know that she was going to take that flight?
yeah,
back
it's
to
like you're like
Norway?
one dude, and as they show in like the whole climax action or whatever, he's like kind of not that great.
No.
Which is like honestly like not that bad. I kind of like that. I feel like I would like it in another situation. But since they set him up as like, somehow put together this master plan, but then he just kind of an idiot at the end. It's like
He just kind of sucks.
yeah, it's like if he kind of sucked all the way through or whatever, and again that kind of blowing it at that moment and not showing the lead up to that moment, I think it would have worked a lot better. And so I feel like that whole thing where they just switched to his perspective and revealed it in that way just kind of, again, too early almost, because they should have just saved it until the captain guy said something on the captain pilot.
I don't know why they did that, because that's kind of a really bad move from a storytelling perspective, because you're kind of giving the audience what they would have wanted too early.
Yeah.
And then afterward, you're kind of just looking at the guy like, that's the guy, and then you don't really connect with the woman anymore.
Yeah, because the whole point of this story is that, like, you're following the main character who, like...
Jodie Foster.
Yeah, and that you are following her perspective, and she's trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So to suddenly switch that for a reveal that comes to her later anyway,
yeah,
it takes
weird.
away from that moment, because that would have been a really good reveal there.
Yeah.
So
it also, this plot reminds me of a plot from an Agatha Christie novel too.
Which one?
I forget what the name of it was.
Maybe it's like loosely based off of it.
I don't
No.
know.
Was it Agatha Christie or was it
Someone else?
a Hitchcock movie? I don't remember which it was, but
Actually, I was looking on Wikipedia and they said something about. I think
They're
said
both
something
very
about
prolific.
Hitchcock. Let me see.
Was it Hitchcock or was it?
Let's see.
Oh yeah, it was an Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah.
Oh, Into Thin Air.
Yes.
Yeah. I watched that movie. It took place on a train, and it involved like this guy who was sitting next to this old woman and stuff, and she, like, halfway through the train journey, he disappears, and he tries looking for her, but no one seems to have any recollection that she existed and stuff. And the same way that she found out that her daughter existed, like, you know how she drew the heart on the window?
Yeah.
So in that movie, she wrote something on the window too, because I think she was writing like a number or something and stuff. So when he came back and he was like, maybe she didn't exist, then he looked at the window and he was like, wait, no, she did exist because she wrote this on the window and stuff. I was like, oh, I saw that reference before. So they went a whole different thing with it, where it obviously she was an old lady and stuff, and not a child.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I liked this in concept, but it just was executed not terribly, but like not just kind of eh.
The way I kind of want to look at it is that the first half of the movie is pretty good, and the second half I'll just forget about. Because I personally did not like the weird reveal that seemed really random, at least to me, like with the guy.
Like the ending though, where she was like walking out and you see like the passenger's reaction as well as the pilot.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
because that would be more so just her character arc. So that's still, I guess that's kind of a continuation of the first half.
Yeah.
I will say that Jodie Foster was excellent in this movie.
Yeah.
So good.
The emotions and like stuff are pretty on point, I think, too.
Like the weird contrast between her and like the air marshal guy, like he was so deadpan. I honestly thought he was high as fuck. Just seeing his face. He was so stoned the whole time.
You mean the
air marshal guy, the
actual guy, the villain guy, or
yeah, the villain guy,
yeah.
not
that
Sean Bean.
Yeah, who didn't die?
Yeah,
That's
he
a miracle.
lived in this movie.
He didn't really do that much, honestly.
I think they just wanted a cool guy for the pilot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still don't really know what to think about. Like, especially to compare it to like other movies. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Even though they didn't, like, as Mayan mentioned, and also you, even though they didn't execute the two plot twists as well as we would have liked, they still executed it much better than some other films that we've seen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think with what they had, they did at least decently. There are, of course, like things that they could have improved on, and maybe if they rewrote the second plot twist or left it out altogether, it would have been much better. Because I honestly only cared about Jodie Foster and her kid.
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit about this other dude who looked like stoned as fuck.
Yeah, and again, I think part of that, yeah, the reveal, just that, yeah, that reveal with him just is done really not well.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird though. It's like, you know, people people write movies, right? But
Yeah.
those are like professionals, and I'm sure even those people, not everything they write gets turned into a movie, right?
Oh yeah. Of
So
course.
it's like, how did you? Because again, I'm some random dude. I've never written anything before, and it's like to this degree, and it's like, you know, I figured out a way to make that better. Why didn't you figure this out? You know what I mean? It's like, and this happened.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this actually, with my dad actually, where it's like, you know, why are there so many bad movies? Because people are, you know, paid professionally to do this, and again, most of the stuff that's proposed is never made. So it's like, if shit like, you know, Just Married and like Tin Cup and fucking Bringing Down the House, it's like, if that was considered good enough to be a movie, what the hell was considered not good enough to be a movie?
Yeah,
It's
honestly.
like, how does
sometimes I
this
think
work?
that too.
Thinking about it
Because
now.
even, like, for example, something like, you know, Thou That Shall Not Be Named and, like, Spice World and shit, like, I can at least see that, like, as just, like, a pure, like, let's just get money out of stupid people, like, I understand that. But, again, there's some things, like, again, like, Bringing Down the House, where it's like, there's no reason to make this at all.
No.
Right.
You know, it's like, unless you had some brilliant idea for a wonderful story, but it's like, that didn't happen. So it's like, what was the first draft of that movie?
Oh,
You know
I'm
what I
afraid
mean? It's
to
like,
even
how
think of that.
how does this work? So it's just weird to me that, you know, that like some idiots like us can think of a way to make something so much better. It's not just for movies either. There's sometimes like with like video games or something where there's like, wait, why the fuck didn't they just do this? And it's like, yeah, wait, that would have been so much better. You know what I mean? It's just weird. And
Yeah.
It's like, why? I kind of, that said, I can also say that like when you are like part of creating something, you can kind of get some things in your head where you're like convince yourself that something is like, no, this is the way it has to be, you know, and it's like when it,
Oh yeah,
you
for
know.
sure. Like
So-
that's the point where you have to step back and just kind of give it some space and then come back to it. Then
Yeah.
after a little bit of time, then you see that there
Or
are flaws.
talk with somebody else and get their opinion as well.
Yeah. I
And,
think
you
as
know,
like writers and creators, that's always like the first threshold or like one of the biggest thresholds that you have to like overcome when you're like creating something where it's kind of like
very hard.
it's really hard, but the payoff is so nice afterward. But it's hard in the beginning because there's some things that you're just like, no, this is how it always was and stuff. We can make it work. And
we get this from experience.
yeah, and we can make it work. But then when you take a step back and you look at it the next day, you see this humongous pile of junk, and you're like, what was the thing that I was trying to do with this again? And then you kind of realize maybe it's rather than try to make this one thing work in this really elaborate setup, maybe it's better to go with something simple that actually makes sense and fits perfectly into the thing.
I
Like,
guess that's kind of why I can understand why there are like weird movies where there are parts that are really good and then there are parts that are like awkwardly, really weirdly, I don't know, not well executed. I don't want
yeah.
to say bad because it's not just always bad. It could just
Sometimes it
be,
can be awkward or something.
yeah. So I can kind of understand that just from like the perspective of we've done that before and yeah, it's part of the process, but at that point it's kind of like you you didn't get your final draft yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's weird.
It is, yeah, it's weird. I'm kind of I don't know how I really feel about this movie even now
Yeah.
because like I there are parts that I like a lot with like Jodie Foster, but then there's like the stuff that's weird with the villain guy and the second plot twist and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So I blame him for all of the shortcomings.
I
of this
will
movie.
say one thing though, one
Mhm.
like nice positive thing, which is that there was no romantic subplot in this.
There's no dance sequence.
That too. That's a second good thing.
It's probably because it's like an English, no, American and German movie. The Germans didn't want any dancing in their movie.
uh, yeah. So, oh, what other completely arbitrary thing?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that just kind of bugs me. The poster for this movie is kind of bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just a,
It's
I don't
just
know
her
why-
face, and she just looks kind of weird, and it's like, what? Who designed this?
I don't know why they didn't just go with the plane.
Yeah, like something was as simple as like the plane. I think would have worked better, or you know,
Yeah.
because let's see, there's some sort of text in the corner, and I'm trying to read it.
Or
Is it
you could have done the plane and then shown like the girl running towards the plane or something.
Or just
I
like
still can't.
a
If someone took everything you live for, how far would you go to get?
get it back.
It looks
Yeah.
like get A back. I don't know. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. Okay, this is actually a really common thing that there's like small print in like the corner of a poster that like says something like that, and it's like, who the fuck's gonna read that? It's like, why is that there?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, so it's like so minor. Like, who gives a shit? It's the poster, but it's just like, I don't know. It just bothers me for some reason that like it just looks stupid. But yeah, I don't know. Is there much else to talk about?
Oh, one thing that I found kind of interesting,
Hmm?
I guess, was the fact that despite the plane taking off from Berlin, we didn't actually get anybody who spoke German.
Oh yeah, besides just the plane intercom thing.
Yeah, the flight
Yeah.
attendants were saying things
Yeah.
in both languages, but yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh
makes
yeah,
me-
there was one other kind of like kind of awkward thing. She mentioned 9/11 and then there was like a small altercation between Jodie Foster and some Muslim people.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like they didn't need to include this either.
Well, no, see, I
Ew.
kind of, because I feel like this could have worked more because it was playing off of, like, she kind of assumed that they were part of it, right?
Oh,
So
you
it's
mean,
like that could
everyone
kind of-
assumes
Yeah,
that she's
so that
crazy.
could kind of play into it as well, where it's like, oh, because people assume the Muslim guys are up to something, right, because of 9/11.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like that actually could have been done. Yeah, it did come off as just kind of awkward here, but I feel like
From-
it could have
yeah.
been done better and actually
From a
used to its
s-
advantage.
From a storytelling perspective, it could have worked, but just with the context of how things are like right now, I always just feel really uncomfortable seeing like Muslim people targeted.
Yeah, no,
For
I
any
get that,
reason.
but like I'm saying that like that but that awkwardness, like, that could have been utilized actually with
Right.
this scenario as like the
Right.
point. So, but yeah, they kind of just let it go after that initial moment, and I think it would have been, yeah, more interesting if.
I'm just happy that they weren't actually the villains.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that
nice.
made me
If they
happy.
were actually, then I was like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still don't really know what to think about this. I'm
In
like
25
straddling.
minutes,
I'm
guys,
like,
and we
I'm like, is it a joy? Is it a joy despite faults? Is it mixed? Like, I don't know where to put it. I'll also think about it some more.
I'll figure it out too. Well, I'll figure it out
Yeah.
eventually.
The next movie, I actually saw this in theaters,
I did too.
and I don't actually no. I think I do remember the context. I think a friend wanted to see it, and we went
Aw.
to see it.
I
And
don't remember the context.
I remember, even though this is like 2005, so I was 11. I remember I was scared of this movie.
I have not gotten to see this, so this will be interesting.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to watch it again, because just to see, like, you know, does it make any sense I was scared of it? Probably not. Because, I don't know. I was, like, really weak for scary stuff when I was younger. I mean, I'm still, like, kind of weak for certain things. I mean, if it's, like, gory, then, like, no. That's different, honestly. Like, goriness, I don't feel like it's, like,
Yeah.
scary. It's just gross.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's why we're not watching certain movies.
yeah.
Woo!
Because
So-
literally none of us would be able to watch it, and we wouldn't really be able to. It would be like, okay, so how did this person get killed?
Yeah.
How do we rate this?
Yeah, like, there's, you know, obviously we've seen some fairly gory movies, but, like, I try because some people might have wondered, like, why did you pick out the movies that you did to not watch, especially since, like, you know, again, we've seen some gross things. Some of the things that we've seen as being gross, like, I didn't realize were as gross as they were. Like, I didn't think Interview with a Vampire would be that gross, for example, and I know there was something else that was, like, worse than we thought it would be.
Oh, I can't remember.
I don't
I
remember.
remember.
But my main idea was, like, if the whole point of the movie is, like, to see how gross things can be, like, for example, the Saw movies, that's the entire point of their existence, right?
Mhm.
You are to focus on how gross things can be. I'm not watching that. That's no, right? And Resident Evil and, like, all the things that are similar to that, like the Underworld movies and stuff, like, it's, I guess you could argue there's a story, but it's like, not really. Its all point is that there's really gross zombies and they do gross shit, and, you know, and then 7 is all based on a serial killer who murders people based off of the 7 deadly sins, and you can imagine how gross that ends up being.
Ugh.
So, yeah, again, I've heard it's a great movie, but I don't want to see it, so that's a reason for that. And yeah, so that's kind of how things are with that. But it's not that bad for next month, so we don't have to worry about that.
No. We actually go on a nice high note after the next movie.
Yeah.
Or with the
Oh,
next
yeah.
movie, rather.
Yep. So
We'll have 3 good ones lined up.
yeah, I'm
Woo.
actually, yeah. So I'm curious to see this again, and then for November, December are movies that I haven't seen, and I'm curious to watch those as well. So
Yes.
yeah, we'll see how this goes. Not since we're not quite there, but just to do a brief thing. What do you think about 2005 so far?
It's pretty mixed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
would say-
Has there been, like, anything that's been, like, really good? I don't think so.
Really good?
Remember.
No. It's been mostly mixed to, like, mildly bad or, like, mildly weirdly okay.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of. Yeah, there's some that's just completely fucking weird. And then there's others. Yeah, no, yeah, almost everything actually has been just kind of.
Whatever.
What? Yeah. Yeah, geez, what is, like, the best thing we've seen this year actually so far?
Revenge of the Sith.
It honestly is. I think it is. It's not expected. Uh,
Oh my
but yeah,
god.
there hasn't really been anything terrible. I mean, 40-year-old version is pretty bad, but I don't know. Whatever. Well,
We need to end
yeah,
this.
we need to end this. We've been talking about
Yeah.
nonsense for most of the time, so bye.
Whoa.